Hey everyone! Hi Jarek, hi Arrakis. We are starting with Xyvera. Yeah, so as far as Soul Gazers go, I have her and Svetlana left. And then as far as Minotaurs go, it's her and Kogan. So we're starting to get there. And we're looking pretty okay on having my goal of like all heroes painted by the end of the year, plus hopefully one each of the monsters. So as usual, I'm gonna start with her skin, and she doesn't really have a ton of it. But we're gonna go with like a dark-ish gray. So something like, you know, maybe she used to have a darker skin tone, but now she's gone, you know, she's just that old. So I'm gonna mix, starting with some P3 colors here. I've got the new Ashith gray. It's a pretty dark gray. And we're gonna mix it with a little bit of the Bastion gray just so it's not like too dark to start. And then we can work our shadows in, and of course our hair fur texture that I've really liked doing on all of these. Hi Johnny! Yeah, Necromancer Bovine Lady.
Necromancer Bovine Lady. That's her real name.
So yeah, she's pretty neat, and I've kind of left her for a little bit later, Jarek, too, because I'm like, I just, you know, I really like her, and I'm not super sure what I wanted to do. I think I have a little bit better of an idea now. Someone on Twitter actually suggested if I was going to make her look like one of the Grim Totem Tauren from World of Warcraft. And particularly, you know, she is fairly reminiscent of Magatha Grim Totem, who, of course, led to Karn Bloodhoof's demise, and then was exiled. But she's got a lot of the same sort of colors that I was thinking I would go for anyway. You know, darker purple kind of stuff. So, but let's get started with just a base coat here for her skin. And then she also really, so I like to play a lot of, like, D&D-ish, RPG games. I am almost always a necromancer of some kind, and I would say that Xyvera's, like, one of the blood magic styles of necromancers, rather than, you know, Zarin is, you know, raises the undead style. Yeah, a late healer. But she's all about, you know, the give and take of, like, life force energy stuff. And of course that definitely shows in her game rules, but she's just really cool all around. I don't think I've ever seen... It's hard enough to find female Minotaur models, but I don't think I've ever seen an elderly Minotaur model ever. So she's just very unique. I'm gonna be swearing at this stick all day. What I'm gonna do is we're gonna get a little bit of the base coat on here, and then I want a base coat with the light color that I want for the rune for the rest of her hand, so we'll just leave that for now. And then she's got this crazy... So she's got a lot of, like, cloth and fabric and stuff. But then on her back here, it's like skin and there are faces sewn into it. And other body parts. Like here too, this looks a little more like rough skin. So, yeah, she's creepy. Yeah, no face jackets around here. At least not that I know of. I don't think any of us are creepy serial killers. Ooh, Johnny with the good joke.
Is this Johnny Pastrami?
No, Johnny Mage Hands was a regular follower of mine.
So he doesn't have any finely cured salted meat?
No, not of the pastrami version.
That's too bad. That'd be a yummy sandwich. Do you think we can make pastrami? We don't have a meat slicer.
Chad is now going down the rabbit hole of lunch meats. I think bologna is the worst of the lunch meats. It's just
But it does have a first name.
fake. I suppose it's true. But the best thing about that though is the Wienermobile.
Right, wieners are better than bologna.
Yeah, so This is Oscar Mayer, by the way. Is Spam... I don't feel like Spam is a lunch meat. I feel like Spam is a regional phenomenon. I don't know. I'm not sure I've ever had Spam. I feel like I'm maybe not missing out. Yeah, I think that's why I don't like bologna, though, is the texture is just kind of weird.
Of the fake meats, it is the fakest.
Bologna or Spam?
Ooh. No, Spam's better than bologna.
Chet says Spam is better than bologna.
There's like bunches of recipes and stuff in Hawaii where it's a big deal. Bologna's just like weird and no.
Right. That's
Spam's
kind of
at least like weird but unique.
Yeah.
Bologna's like weird and nothing.
Anyway, this is a very interesting conversation.
You know bologna? Oh, pastrami.
Yeah, this is all your fault, Chad.
But I didn't bring up bologna. You're bologna.
You did. You
No,
did.
I said pastrami.
And then you said something about. Oh no, Jarek brought up bologna.
Yeah, that makes more sense. That's how he works.
Right, Johnny, that sounds like a very one of those typical Hawaiian-ish dishes where you fry up some Spam and then put it in rice or something like that. It's, you know, that's not unusual. I've never had either of these things, though. Although if quarantine carries on much longer, who knows what we're going to be down to eating. I keep reading headlines like there's going to be a meat shortage and, you know, I don't know.
Maybe we shouldn't have stopped.
We might all be eating Spam soon enough. But if I could eat sushi, why not just eat sushi with the fish? That's...
So what else are you can do with all those Spam recipes that show up in your
Well, that's what Jarek is talking about. There's
they don't
a
do it
sushi-esque Spam dish. So yeah, the things that we can talk about while I'm base coating, because base coating is boring. That and, you know, with the way she's zenithal primed here, and I'm doing like a sort of mid to dark tone gray. This is one of those times where Chad would walk over and be like, "Have you done any work whatsoever?"
Yeah, what are you doing over there?
Yeah.
Get to work.
Sometimes, like when I've been painting black too, he'll come over and be like, "What have you been doing today?" I'm like, God damn it. So we are holding up quite well, actually. I think you know, Chad and I have been playing a bunch of games. The other night we started to play Root, which is a board game, and it's kind of still sitting out on our gaming table because we had to stop so he could go commentate some stuff. So that's been fun, and we've tried a couple other board games. We've played some Judgement. I've lost terribly at fives. You know. So things are actually pretty good. And I think, you know, there's a little bit of stir craziness going on. I've kind of found painting motivation a little difficult, which has kind of been more of the reason why I'm like, I don't know if I want to stream. And today I'm like, you know, sometimes you're like, damn it, I just gotta do the thing. So that's today. So which game, Jarrett? Because I mentioned a few. Yeah, we just started learning. We're like playing the intro. That's good. I like it. I am the birds. And they are really interesting. Like their whole decree thing of like having to follow step by step. I'm about to go into turmoil. But yeah, it's pretty neat. I'm really looking forward to when we can have friends over again to play these games with. Yeah, we have, did we get the lizard cult in the expansion?
In the Riverworlds one, Riverlands one, we didn't get that one. We got Underground.
We got the Underground expansion. For now. I'm sure Chad will end up getting the other one at some point. But yeah, it's...
Just message Tommy and do it now. Make him ship it to me.
It's really cute, and the little meeples are really adorable.
They're very angry kitties.
Yeah, they're like... They all look just a little annoyed. Alright, neck and face, that's what I'm doing now. I almost got ahead of myself there and started to go do shadows. But we're not there yet. Yeah, so like, I feel like you can't, you know, with the two of us, we can't say have a vagabond, right? It's
no,
just
you can. There was one that said worked.
One with like only one other faction.
With the cat, it was like with the bird, I think. I'll show you later. There's examples he gives in there for like what combinations to do with 2 and 3 players.
Yeah.
But they did give you one with the vagabond, but it's not like one of their. You know, they give you 2 that are recommended, and that's not one of them.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably maybe not the best setup, but definitely like wanted to get a feel for the regular game first. But yeah, I think I'm starting to get the hang of it. It's fun. One of the other new games we picked up like recently is Everdell. I've really enjoyed that one. That one's really cute too. Just I got a thing for the little animals. Yeah, Everdell is fun. That may be one of the next games that I pull out here for Chad and I to play. I've also been playing The Witcher, which is my first playthrough. Like, I kind of watched Chad play on the PlayStation pretty much when it first came out. And now I decided I would finally buy it for myself on PC and get around to being Geralt and, you know, listen to him say, and fuck.
Probably. Demonetized.
Jarek says he's a big fan of Terraforming Mars, which I think you had looked at one point.
Yeah, but I want it with, like, real pieces.
Oh, that's right.
But a lot of people are fans of that game.
Chad says he wants real pieces. Chad has a problem with wanting all the models.
Fact. I want to try Blood Rage next.
We also... I'm pretty sure we also want a 3D printer.
We don't have anywhere to put it.
Yeah, we have a problem with where would it go? We would need to get if we want a chest freezer in there, we probably need to get some kind of outlet extension. But yeah, I've looked repeatedly at the Anycubic Photon S because I would want to, you know, print some nicer models, and that seems to be the quality resin printer of choice, at least right now. And I think, you know, the idea of terrain is cool, but I think I'd rather be printing models. Yeah, but I guess the plate is not very large, so you just have to print a lot of pieces.
Just get another one.
Yeah, well, that's what Jarek's saying. He's got another one.
Of course he does. He also has a router. He's got all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we have like, our house is not that big. We don't have a whole lot of storage space. We have 3. Ugh. We may need to get a bigger house first. Yeah, storage space is a problem. You know, a lot of people are using this quarantine time to, like, go through their closets and stuff, and I just can't make myself do it. I need to, but I can't. Yeah, that's right. Alright, let's see. I think So typically I do the nose in a fleshy color, and I'm going to get there. But I think first we're just going to base coat it in gray so it doesn't stand out and look weird. It's going to be a little off.
Jared's bragging now on Discord. Oh. Am I that loud on the mic?
I don't know. No, the mic picks things up.
I made a comment about him bragging and he typed it to me, so. We may need to get you a more directed microphone. These headphones work pretty well. We should try maybe. He can hear
maybe.
Me,
yeah. I mean, I have told you multiple times that I'm pretty sure people can hear you, and you're like, no, they can't hear me. I'm like, Snowball's pretty good.
Just wait until I start playing Hots.
Yeah.
Or Grimjob. We worked out that everybody actually owns it.
Can you play together though?
What?
Can you play that together though?
Yeah.
Oh.
Everybody just kills stuff. It's great.
Alright. Alright, I think I have... I'm waiting on her hand a bit here. I think I've got a good enough base coat. And I'm going to go ahead and pull out some of the Ashith Gray, and we're going to start in a little bit of black, and we're going to start working in some shadows. And then from there, I will highlight up using the fur texture, which I don't think should take too long. Xyvera's got, it's mostly just like her arms, a little on her neck. And we're gonna try and do some shorter fur for her anyway. Because she's got a lot of other good, like, skin texture wrinkles. So, let's see, my 2-brush blending. And for now, we're kind of just going to go a little quickly here. She's... I'm not really going to get in every one of these little wrinkles. Some of that will be a little more up to the highlights. I'll try and get in here by her neck. Yeah, I would probably want to put some kind of our friend Felix has one of the, I think it's the Anycubic photon printers. It might be the S. And he has just printed a ton of stuff.
He has a problem.
Like, oh my god. But he also paints really quick. And I think he's now finally starting to paint some of this stuff. Yeah, he's really good at painting really fast. But for a while there, it was like he just printed, and didn't do anything else. I have a feeling like if we were to start printing a bunch of stuff that, you know, I was really wanting to paint, like, I would probably have to temporarily be like, I'm not taking any commissions right now. And this is definitely one of the ways, like, you know, that I sort of contribute here to our household, which is not to say that I don't do my own projects, which clearly, you know, I do, but it just, I would want to make sure we were not overwhelming the paint queue, and or that they were also maybe like Chad painting projects, which I'm sure he would do.
Yep.
He's been enjoying painting some of his Sylvaneth stuff here, but yeah, his focus or desire to do that has been a little low lately too, and we'll blame the quarantine. I would probably want to, like, finish printing the thing. But then when it was done, I'd, like, if I was like, nah, I'm bored, I'd just set it all aside. But I'm like, it's there, it's done. Yeah, my sort of quarantine goals have shifted, you know, a little, just a bit. I do try to do, like, at least one useful or productive thing a day. You know, whether that's cooking dinner or walking the dog, or in today's case, it was cleaning the bathroom, which really, I hate cleaning. And some people get a lot of joy out of, like, oh, this is all tiny. I hate doing it. I do it, but I hate doing it. Yay, laundry is productive. Laundry is another one of those, like, never ending tasks too. Like, this is another one of my jobs. Yeah, I'm probably doing laundry tomorrow. I think somebody said that they needed it again. Which is just funny because it's like most of this has gone by and I'm like, I'm not even sure we're wearing real clothes most days. We're not. But at least for me, that's pretty par for the course. One of the things that needs to be on my productive list here soon is actually finishing getting Fazil prepped. Like, I have been looking forward to painting that guy for quite a while, but I still am gonna have to do some serious, like, gap fill, mold line repair sort of stuff. And, like, honestly, he's not bad. Like, he's a good quality model. It's just, there's a lot going on. Alright, let's take a closer look here at her face. Sort of get inner part of her ears. I think a lot of her face is going to come out a little better with the highlights. But I definitely want to get some of these darker shadows in these wrinkles. Alright. I think what I'm going to do here for the darker shadow, so I was going to mix some black into the Asheth Gray, which is what I used for the first one. I'm also going to pull out a little bit of my Chimera Violet, just to give a, you know, some little bit more exciting little bit to her skin. And I think we'll glaze that into some of the dark shadows too. So never go quite down to fully black. But add a little violet. And then let's start with kind of in here. And then I do sort of want to remember a little bit too that with some of the glow down here, that I'm gonna want to have at least a little of that like casting back up on her neck, the underside of her neck, so not get too carried away. And be mindful of where I'm placing these darker shadows. Okay. And I kind of feel like originally I was leaning towards the green, the greeny glow. But I'm kind of wondering if maybe I don't want to do red to show that sort of blood magic. Yeah, I've kind of struggled with Xyvera a little bit and like what I want to do. I have a nice like violet color that I think is going to work well for her skirt. I've definitely seen a lot of like the green glow. And this may be me being like being different for different sake, but I did still kind of wondering about doing red. And then also for the first shadow, apparently I totally skipped this hand. I'm holding off on that one until I decide what I want to do for the glow, but and once I get the shadows in, I'm gonna start to do some of the fur texture on her. Because all of my other Minotaurs have it. I would not want her to be odd one out. She's just such a great model, though. Like, all of these little details, you know, the little wrinkles and veins, the kind of knobby knuckles. She's just a great, great model and, like, perfect, you know, all of these things that you notice on, you know, your grandparents and elderly family members. Perfect details. All right. Okay, I'm gonna start with some Bastion Gray here for highlights, mixed with a little Troll Blood highlight. And this should be a nice medium light gray. So I want to sort of be able to see it, and then we'll come back with some of the base coat to feather out the fur texture a bit. And I want to make sure not to go too bright right away. And I think in order to help that, we're just going to add a teeny little bit of base coat in. So. Because this Asheth gray that Privateer came out with definitely has a little bit of purple in there. Like, it's not a plain dark gray. It's kind of like their Crixbane base has a little bit of green. And then I want these to be maybe some shorter brush strokes than some of the other Minotaurs. So I'm actually going to pull out my size 0. I pretty much only do, when I do this freehand texture stuff, if I can get away with using my size 1, I do. Just because it holds paint better. But I think I'm gonna be able to sort of avoid some of these wrinkles a little better with the 0 and get some shorter textures built up here. So sort of make sure I'm more focused under the center of the camera rather than off to one side. Of course. I do still get some thicker lines in here, even when I'm trying to be careful. Alright, let's see. Still working on. Nope. And then as we go along, we'll sort of work back in with the texture with some of the shadow colors, some of the base coat. It's kind of more about building up some layers now that with the highlights, and then working back and forth a little bit. Won't be too much on the inner part of her form here because it's dark anyway, and details tend to disappear in the shadows. So this is just a really hard spot to reach. Yeah, we get to do this for a little bit on her arms. I don't do it on their faces so much ever, because if you think of, you know, your dog or your cat, or if you have a cow, the fur on their faces is typically shorter anyway, so you just can't really see it from a distance, so you wouldn't get any texture there. Whereas some on the rest of their bodies, you know, can be longer. She's got a scar here that we'll come back to with a more fleshy color. You know, I never actually watched The Simpsons. I mean, obviously everyone knows that phrase. Yeah, I got a little into the zone here with this and missed that comment there for a sec. But yeah, it is good advice. So I'm trying to carry some of this first shadow down into, or first highlight with the texture down into the shadows. And then we'll sort of end up bringing the mid-tone back a little, and bring some of the shadows back a little too. Yeah, thankfully Xyvera doesn't actually have all that much in the way of skin showing, unlike you know, the Don't Rock or even the Gendress models. They both have quite a bit. And then again, I don't typically do, I'm going to come down just a little bit into her hand. And then I don't typically do fur in the hands and fingers either. And just sort of paint those with more normal blending. But we are still going to try and play up some of these wrinkles a bit. So she will end up probably looking like she's got a little texture here in her hands anyway. And the funny thing is here on the flat part of her hand, there's a little bit of like the 3D print lines from the master printed copy, just like you can see right here that, you know, the mold was detailed enough that some of those 3D print lines came through on the cast. And then we're going to work some highlights into her face here. And the reason I haven't done her eyes yet is that I very much want them to match the glow here. So I'm kind of waiting to see what I end up leaning towards with that. Do a little more in the face. I'm not even really having to do a lot of blending here either, just kind of making sure that I am, you know, it looks wrinkly, so there's going to be a lot of just places where the straight line sort of layer is going to be more effective. Hey, Justix. So, my kind of idea right now for her is, you know, she is really, really old, so we're going with the gray. I'm gonna make her hair like a really, kind of like a silvery white almost. And then I think we'll do some sort of dark ruff around her neck just to sort of pop that face forward a little more too. I have some dark purples that I want to do in the cloth. Some of this is like old mummified leather skin. And then she's definitely like the blood magic type necromancer. So I'm kind of considering going with more of a sinister red glow. A lot of people have been doing green. But I saw a picture a while back of like just a I think somebody had drawn a digital version of Voldemort, and then they had done two separate versions. One was green and the other was red. And like just from going from green to red, the red looked so much more evil. Not that she's really like evil, but she's certainly questionable. And then I think the red will set her apart too from the Zarin that I did, because I did his was green. So that's kind of the overall plan right now. Oop, and then I dropped my brush. And that's kind of why I've held off on doing her hand down here. So I'm not fully decided yet. I want to see if someone else around here might might have the have some input.
I didn't hear any of that.
Oh, on what color glow?
Trust you.
Okay. Never mind.
I didn't have anything in particular in mind with her, so.
Yeah, and that's kind of, that's kind of what I've thought a little too of, like, she's very much got the kind of life swap blood magic rules going on in the game. But yeah, I did really want to make her look very old. Like just this unknowably ancient, Necromancer, Minotaur, crone. Like maybe once upon a time, she would have had a black fur like my Thorgar, but is just gone to gray. Yeah, we were talking a little bit about the glow. I'm leaning towards red because of like blood magic, and she's tracing this sort of sigil down here, and it's going to have more of a red glow. And same with her eyes, maybe a little on like the lower part of her face. Yeah, I have one Necromancer who's got kind of like the evil green. But she does very different things. Chad is apparently testing his mic in the back. I'm just sort of trying to get the top of her nose a bit. I mean, and part of my reasoning behind this too is like a little bit from my Death Knight and WoW, like the blood magic, all their effects are red, and the ones who raise a lot of the undead stuff, their effects are green, the unholy tree. Yeah, I probably played I've played too much WoW in my time here. And I definitely want to make her face a little lighter in general. Not only to help draw some focus there, which is why I'm sort of adding more highlights to it than I have anywhere else so far, but you know, typically when animals get old, they start to get a little more gray around the face. We're going to do a little bit on this sort of more saggy neck skin, which is an old cow.
We did it. So if you do M, you should be able. I can only barely gotta change the audio in here.
And then this way too, when I come back with some of the red, it'll take a little better too.
Oh.
So we're gonna do just a little bit up under here.
Right, yeah, I had to turn the volume way down. So if you do it'll pull up your map. If you click where it says local, it'll switch to world, and you can click on that rift that we went through and vary a little.
I don't know what game Chad's playing over there.
From wherever.
Gaming with friends has been one of the ways that we've been staying sane.
No.
Or just gaming
If you kind of look
in general.
you can sort of see it goes north along this like water. We're basically like working our way up. Most of the quests go this way, so it doesn't super guide you. I killed a barrel. That looked like we should really do it.
I love that she actually has a really nice expression that I'm going to try and maybe play up a little bit. She's kind of got this little smirk over here and her narrowed eye on the other side where she's like, we're going to take some of your life and put it over here. Alright, let's go ahead and pull out some of the Troubled highlight for a second highlight here on the fur.
This works pretty well.
This is a lighter gray. And then we're going to go back to that size 1 brush and start doing more texture. Like I said, thankfully, she doesn't have nearly as much as some of the other Minotaurs in the range.
You know how your health restores itself, but there's like a little like yellowish gold frame around it, I guess. I don't really know what you call it. when your health repairs, that yellow frame will decrease. Quest.
Alright, and then we're gonna go back to working on this arm over here.
I clicked on it. So there's a dude back.
We're gonna try and keep this a little more as the upper highlight.
Oh yeah, so there's a meal over here. I didn't get. You probably did. Wait, no, it's gone. Never mind. Did you see a meal on your map still? A meal? Okay, then we already got it. Yeah, we did. Oops. Oh, wait a minute. Alright, let's go right this way. It's Diablo, but you get to have a gun. Yeah, the closest is the... Oh god. Ah!
Oh. Again, I tend to sort of zone out a little here. I do try and keep an eye on chat, so if you end up with any other questions, I'm gonna try and stay in. I do sort of work in a part just along the upper ridge here, because like if her hair is like a little bit on the longish side, it is gonna fall one way or another. Oops, that was too much. It's okay. We'll come back with some of the mid-tone. Man, I have to tell you, my brain has been all sorts of not finding words today. I think my brain is in quarantine. Get some of the highlight in, and then it sort of makes, like, without doing any blending whatsoever, it does sort of make a natural gradient. So it's not hard, it's just a little tedious. But ultimately, like, I really do like the fur look. I used to paint, Chad was a circle player for War Machine Hordes. If you know, obviously I know that some of you know that game. So I used to paint his Warples. Like this. Once I figured out, like, oh, this makes them look furry. I thought it was more interesting.
This guy's looking late. I'm level 7. I don't know. Don't die, Keith. Don't forget you can drink potions. You should have some. And then should be hotkeyed to number 9 on your keyboard. Tonic of Mending is what they're actually called. Die. Did it.
Alright. That's a good start on this arm here. Let's go ahead and start working up on the shoulder.
Don't say that he. Apparently. Yeah, so if you see the red bar, there's like a yellow bar in the middle of it. It's like not all the way to the end probably anymore because you just took damage. That's what eating meals and other stuff does.
So again, there's a scar here, and there's some other wrinkles and textures that we're gonna come back and make sure that we sort of pump up later once we get the fur in. So they're kind of tiny, tiny little strokes. I'm doing the lighter gray for a second highlight.
So now can you see it? Alright, so if we drop stuff, we can see it, apparently. But if like, there should be another one there now. Dropped another one. But apparently if, apparently if it just drops, it must only show for us at first. So like we each get our own drops, basically.
I think I missed a little bit of the front of the shoulder with the first highlight. I just want to get some more in here with that.
Oh, there's a big bat over here. So when you see the star, that means it's like a boss type. Actually, I don't think he's as immune to cold as the last guy.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, making her look old. You streaming any games tonight? Sort of working on some of the fur texture here.
Die already, you.
Which is tedious, but worth it. Thanks. Yeah, I really like doing it. It's kind of meditative, I suppose. Which, you know, in times like these, we all need a little meditation, right? de-stress. Focus obsessively on one stupid little thing. It's healthy, right? Thankfully, I don't really do it on her face or hands, so she doesn't have that much, not nearly as much exposed skin fur area as like Dunrocker or Gendra's had. I'll probably go back and try and pick out some of the wrinkles and stuff. She's just got such great textures on her already. But I do want to make sure she fit with the rest of my Minotaurs.
Oh, do you still need a scrap? You have 5 now? Alright. Sorry, I think that was my 6th one, so I want to make sure. Although, I don't know if each of us has to complete the quest or just one of us, because you completed something and I got XP for it. So it may not matter. Alright, so, oh, excellent. We had a quest to...
Yeah.
bugs.
I'm trying to make my fur texture a little shorter. And I'm definitely going to go in and make sure to pick out the wrinkles a little too. There are some really nice...
there's just nothing wrong with killing a bunch of baddies with your buddies.
There's some really nice textures.
It's a little mindless, but it doesn't feel bad. So we're in white fire now.
Alright, do a little bit
Got a solid level.
in here. I'm gonna go ahead and switch back to my size 1 brush. Pick out some of the wrinkles in her knuckles with the second highlight color. My P3 paints here. This is Troll Bullet Highlight. So playing up some of the wrinkles, picking out some of the veins. I always like to pop out the knuckles anyway.
one with bugs, but I'll take it. Alright. Seems similarly unlikely.
So we're just picking out some of the higher highlights here on
Some magic.
the hand. Blend that in some.
Sure.
Alright, let's work on getting some of these brighter highlights in the face.
Oh, you can also assign things to your right click button. If you notice. Oh, okay. Got it.
And this is a lot more just like picking out all of her, you know, old aged wrinkles and jowls and folds.
Yeah, I don't pretend to understand all this nonsense. I just equip it and kill things. So let's begin. I made a magic. I'm surprised that's actually as powerful as it is this early. But it feels like it's helping us, so I'm not complaining. This, that is...
I particularly want to get a lighter gray in her face. Again, as you know, she is a Minotaur, so like as animals age, they get a little more, you know, gray around the muzzle. It'll also help make her face a little more of the focus too. Just by lightening it up.
Well, I figured you were busy. I'd put it on ice for a little bit. I don't want it to go bad. Alright, well, I guess we go this way because we haven't found anything interesting.
There's a stick. I swear to God, I'm gonna swear at this stick the entire time I'm painting this model.
It shouldn't matter. So I think the reason we weren't getting any levels is my other character is just too. So at a certain point, you just get no XP for killing certain things, and I think I was like a level 50 character, and you were a level 1, so it was just not giving us XP. So I think we're still within the range. Oh, okay. Well, killing stuff it is. There's a bunch of crafting type things I never figured out what they called it. Not gonna lie.
Alright, let's maybe pause there for a sec and then take a look.
I don't remember if you can just do it or if you have to
gonna do... I forgot her ears a little bit, so we're gonna do those before we move on.
You have a guy, though, that is your
And then we're gonna put her hair in.
stuff in there later. Oh, actually, I think all my crafting belongs to here, so I think that's shared across the house.
And then we're gonna start working a little more on her face with working some flesh tones into the ears and nose and mouth. Alright, so what I want to do for her hair is I want it to look like a very silvery white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mostly go for the Troll Blood highlight, which is this lighter gray. But I'm going to add a little bit of frostbite to it. This is a little bit of like a very light blue.
Can you use crossbows? I guess it's just all ranged attacks, right? Okay, I'll well, it's also two-handed, isn't it? Yeah, so it's gonna be better because you don't have an offhand. But you also were using an offhand? Oh, did you not take it?
So I kind of want to get this in just to again sort of see where the face is at. And
Well, right.
I need to get her eyebrows in too.
That's fair. At least these games all tell you now when damage is better, so you don't have to sit there and try to remember what the hell it said.
Maybe a little bit more of the blue. And then I think this will also help frame her face a little better by being bright and light-ish, but without losing the gray old lady crone look.
What happens now? Sorry. Yeah. Neat. It's like an aura type thing. Excellent. That's similar. Oh, there's some guys to kill over here. We must have just missed them. The cold aura that I had. So I had like a night, whatever the nightshade thing is. What was the other character? Sweet sweetness. Basically, yeah. So that's a nice to level out on that ability. Oh. Now I'm the Song of Fire and Ice all by myself. So yeah, have you been leveling up your character points too? some stuff that will be frozen in a minute.
Alright, I think I'm gonna have to commit to this red glow quick, because not having her eyes in sort of bugs me. I almost always do eyes first. But I hadn't quite figured out what color I wanted to do on the glow. So I left it getting up under these. Yeah, I've been really excited for this model, and I've kind of put her off for a while. She is one of my favorites. She's so unique. And I think I'm going to go with like a red glow for the sort of blood magic style Necromancer. So she's not only an old magic cow, she's questionably evil.
She's just misunderstood.
Chad's back there saying that she's just misunderstood.
Xyvera.
Yeah.
He just said okay. Let's see if my stash.
She's not gonna have as much glow as saying, holy smokes, all the OSL on her. But, you know, can't have a Judgement model, it seems, without a little bit of OSL. Oh, missing tasks with the Necromancer. Love it.
Just as long as James knows that he's gonna be judged later this week.
Thanks, man. Yeah, saying was great. She's just a lot of OSL.
There's one dude that needed scrap. Some scrap.
I gotta get... Xyvera has several loose hairs here around her face as well. So I'm gonna make sure that those don't get...
We have a quest in here.
Those don't get missed.
So that's why we can go in here now. It's a place we go.
Let's see. Adam73, thanks for the follow.
Different than all the other places. Wait, where'd you go?
I'm trying to get up under the underside of these braids.
There you go. We're supposed to
Like
and now we have to do another thing.
painting gymnastics. It's gonna totally hit some on her throat. Good news is
Cold damage OP.
that'll totally come off if I've got my scrubby brush. Alright, I'll paint over. So, catching up on chat, let's see.
This is like
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to outline them a little bit, just so that they stand out. Because she's also got the eyebrows here, which I'm not going to do. We'll see. I mean, I'm not going to outline the eyebrows. That would make them look like caterpillars on her face. I'm going to paint them, though. Yeah, you gotta have a lot of brush control for these little like wispy hairs. But that kind of stuff comes with practice too. And like practice doing the small stuff. You know, you can dry brush until the cows come home, and you're not really gonna learn that kind of brush control. There's just no substitute for practice. Which I am told is the same for, you know, playing the games, but you only have so much time in the day, right? Okay, damn it. There's like one spot in the back of this braid, which no one would probably ever see.
Disappear when I touched it. The hot meal over here. Oh, okay. We must both get it whenever one of them happens. Hey, not cool. Should be. Alright, well, cool.
I have to like go in between these two.
No, but I'll take it.
Ooh, is. Now we're gonna have to do the same over here. Try not to get any of this color on her neck any further.
Well, as soon as I can find a one-handed weapon, I can have it offhand. Magic users have like a wand in their offhand, basically.
Alright.
Well, I should say.
So I'm gonna go down to my size 1. And I'm gonna sort of.
Oh god. Everybody come here, grow close. Come on in. Come on in.
Put a little bit of
Okay, so are you level 10 now?
an outline on some of these wispy hairs. I'll sort of with a thin line just be like a little bit of a shadow.
Oh, you found the thing to kill? Well, I stopped it. Yeah, so I'm gonna be a shaman. Well, I used an online guide, so I'm a pretty cheater. I'm a Stormcaster Druid.
And then we'll keep using the size 1 brush to put some of these in.
Oh, there is a way to, I don't know if we've unlocked it yet, but there is a way to pay to redo your skills too. You just can't redo your devotions. But you probably haven't done anything with getting it.
And then we'll end up highlighting those a little
You have
too.
to pick a second one, I think, no matter what.
So the base on the skin color
I mean, you still choose your points.
here is pretty much 50-50 mix between the P3 Bastion Gray and their new Asheth Gray. So I wanted it a little darker than the Bastion, which is kind of where I probably would have started without the new gray color. But I wanted her to look like, you know, maybe when she was young she had like dark black fur. So that it's a little more like salt and pepper gray now.
Oh, so it just attacks. That's cool. I like it. It was shooting lightning at them. Looks like there's 2 ways we can go. I need somebody to drop a weapon. Preferably a not shitty weapon. Just a melee weapon.
Alright.
We haven't really been having any problems. Although to be fair, I don't really play these games to have
Well, I mean,
I'm not really at that point in my life. I don't need a challenge.
yeah, at some point, like, she was some point way in the distant past because she's been old forever.
This is a big bad though. It's...
But yeah, like how does black hair age or dark, you know?
Well, that's your bird.
Probably if she had been, you know,
Did your bird
like
die?
fully black, her like hair on her head wouldn't be white. I just really wanted to go with something very light there to sort of help bring some focus back. I'm gonna go ahead and put in her eyebrows.
Yeah, enhanced cold damage. Perfect. Oh, I have a book. So I can use a book as my offhand. Or this boulder thing. Do anything damage. Both increase anything damage. This one's better. So now I have a book.
I don't know if it makes it easier. It's just kind of how my brain works.
And a book. Alright, and then we want to get the shrine. That's probably better armor. That would be even better armor, but I can't wear it because I'm too weak.
She's got some bushy eyebrows. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and kind of start the process with her eyes here. So I like to fill in the whole eye with black so that it gets kind of an outline.
I'm a big fan of the bird.
Normally I can do this with my size 1 brush.
So
I guess I started with my 0. And my size 1 is starting to get a little on the old side.
I don't know how many you get, but I don't think you're limited.
Either that I've just been really rough on this one with who knows what.
So I think this cape only exists for that, I think the totem, yeah. Well, there was a baddie version of this. Oh wait, we got here from, where did this one go? Alright, hold on. Which quests? We found out to this one.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna make her have kind of glowy red eyes. So there are fewer steps than normal, but yeah. A lot of these ones that have like the magic effect type thing going on, I really like to make their eyes look like it matches whatever magic they're executing on the model. But I'm going to fill in the whole eye with white just to make sure that, you know, they're fairly bright. And I did go back up to my size 1 just because it holds the paint a little better, and I think I can still get a fine enough tip. Yeah. And the reason why I do eyes first is because I get stuff everywhere. And I've already done most of the face, so whatever. Thankfully, that's what a wet palette's for, right? Go back and fix things up with colors that I already have. It's funny. I always wonder if I should actually be doing eyes on camera. And with the Judgement models, I think it's a little easier to see what I'm doing. But I always feel like it's too small and it doesn't show up well. But it's funny to read that it's a couple of your favorites. Alright, so we've got the white in. Now what I'm going to do, red is always a little tricky. So I've got my Chimera red, which is a really very red. And I actually have thinned it down, and I'm sort of going to glaze it in a little more.
Whatever the farthest one was, by what it's white mare.
I do want them to look like they're glowing.
And I guess let's go this way. Yeah, it'll be there till we quit out.
I also don't really want them to look like they're pink.
It'll be there till we quit out.
I'm going to glaze a little. Let's pick up a little more paint.
This is we need to find Milton Hart and collect his something.
So I'm going to get a little bit of the red onto like her cheeks and in some of the highlighted parts of her eye socket. This is a little more of like a heavy glaze or something. Just to sort of make it look like the eyes are glowing. Gotta get some of the light cast from the eyes.
Sorry. Just looking at some stuff. Just do that.
Bring this up the side of her nose a bit.
Thanks for reading whatever that was. Go this way. I found it. The thing. There was a wall there. I killed the wall. I should have.
Little here.
Oh, sorry. I'm probably just talking softly. There's a star over here.
So what I'm going to do, so we've got a little bit of the red light, you know, casting out from her eyes here.
Oh, yeah, this is one of the other guys we gotta kill.
Need a little bit, maybe a little bit more kind of up in here, up in this corner. Just a little bit more of that red color. And then like under her eyebrow. And then what I'm going to do is take a little bit of the white that was in there before. And we're just going to kind of give her a little white spot just to... It's like almost like the pupil iris is... Oops, shoot. Just like white glowing color instead. Of course, I totally messed up the bottom of this eye then. Sigh. Sometimes. Yeah, I did not want that down there. Alright. There we go. I'm still a little unhappy with this more squinty one. I still got that little white spot down. Stop it. Yes, swearing at things is normal. Alright, the white spot in there is important because that's how you make it look like they're glowing. And then I'm going to come back with my size 0 and just sort of re-outline with the black, just sort of reinforce like where the eyeball is. I'm gonna try and keep it to a pretty thin line if I can. Come on.
What's the worst thing that happened? It literally said it was a trap.
It's like, I think this one got a little carried away over onto the lower eyelid. Alright, and that's how you make scary Necromancer cow lady eyes. And, you know, we're going to come in and put a little sort of flesh color in the mouth and nose here. I mean, but I think the monochromatic look is pretty interesting here so far. With the evil red eyes. So yeah, apparently that's a hit. Thanks everyone. The eyes, you know, it's worth spending a little extra time because we're just like programmed to look at people's eyes. I didn't mix the red with any white. Mixing the red with white makes it go pink. And then you lose. So I just glazed it over. Later, when I do some of the OSL stuff, I am probably going to have to come back with some red ink just to bring it back to red. But the eyes are kind of too small to do that. So I just glazed the first bit of red in, and then I sort of did a little more like pure red towards the lower bottom part of the eye, and glazed over the cheekbones so it looks like they're casting light. And then of course the white in there for the pupil. But let's see. Let's get some flesh tone, and we're gonna mix it in with the gray. So we don't want it to look like too fleshy. Getting into the nose and lips here. But yeah, time to start adding some other colors. So this has got a little bit of the flesh color in it. We're just kind of going to get some of this placed in along her lips.
Sort of on the center thing called crossroads, and there's little symbols next to all of them, right? So like a red, blue, yellow, purple, green.
Sort of here in her nose. So it's not like too far off of the gray or anything. There's still a lot of gray in there. But it's just the basic P3 Midland flesh. Mixed in with that Asheth Gray, Bastion Gray, mid-tone.
There's like a brightest star in each one of them, and that's like the last point, and you get different abilities. So, or like it'll give you things that you use to enhance your abilities. So, let me look at that.
James, did I answer your question to your satisfaction about not going pink?
Tsunami, tortoise, jackal, owl, tempest, hammock, and some other ones. Right? Some of them give you options, but sometimes it just says like this ability will now generate this other thing. I've busted out learning about it right now, but.
I'm gonna bring some of the flesh color up a little higher into the nose. Because that's where the fur starts to get real thin, is like the top of the nose.
First time I saw it.
No, that's fine. I was curious. Sometimes I like start to explain a thing and think that you know, I've gotten there fully and I haven't quite.
Do not go this way. Oh, I don't know if we should do that. Down by the thing that we did go to. Yeah, I didn't until I looked closer. This one does.
Alright, I'm gonna add in a little more of the flesh tone.
Totally missed. I don't know if that's better for you. Probably not.
That might have been a little much right there. Oh, I see. Alright. I'm gonna sort of blacken the mouth a little, and then we'll pick out some of the few teeth that she has left.
This way.
Svetlana, after Xyvera, is the only soul gazer I have left to paint.
Sharna's the only defender you have left. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Skull is the two-headed one. Alright, let's see. don't think she has many teeth left in here. Yeah, I did just finish Skull fairly recently. He's the blue ogre mage skin, and Johnny's right. We tried to determine if both heads were named Skull or if one was Skull and one was Bone Storm. So that's his full name. Alright, where's... You have to get up and get the bone color. But yeah, he's a super cool model. And with him done, my only defender left... Oh, can I reach it without yanking my headphones out? Alright, there we go. The only defender I have left then is Sharn.
Star on their map. Let's maybe try to do that, and then that might be a good place to call it. So there's a star on their map. Well, not this one. There's one off the like, top left there.
Alright, so this is just a bone color for the teeth.
And that might be a good place to call it for since it's a bit later. Oh yeah, this is the stuff.
I think she's got maybe like 2 teeth in here. Just one.
Okay. I expected a fight was over here. Xyvera portal and Burridge Village. Oh, that's a ways up. Sorry if it seems like I'm mumbling. Oh, I was just looking at our quests and seeing if anything was nearby to
Nope.
finish. Oh, yeah, let's see if this helps actually. Yeah, I'm trying not to be too obvious.
Yeah, the Twitch replays for Skull should still be available.
Yeah, let's try to find like one more. Maybe we can go to the. Hold on.
Both Skull and Saiyan.
Work our way up.
Probably Brock.
Here to the next portal and then.
I don't know.
stopping spot.
I'm an affiliate, so they should remain available for 60 days. And it seemed for the more popular ones, I do export them to YouTube. I don't always remember to do it. Alright, let's see. I'm actually gonna grab a little bit of this and make like a dark sort of magenta, just show that she's got some Maybe a little bit of gums or something in here.
More cave? Alright.
And then I'm gonna grab the bloodstone. It's sort of like an orangey brown, and we're gonna put some like plaque around the bottom of her 2 remaining teeth. I don't know that they do dentures at the end. Alright. There we go. There is her face. I think we'll just clean up a little bit in the lower part of the lip here. There. A little bit more pink in here for the gum. And a small outline of black to separate that from the lip. Yeah. I like to spend a little extra time on the faces of these models, just because, you know, they're big enough to be worth it.
Alright, so should just be let's see if I can
Just add another coat to the base coat of the hair here. And then kind of the other plan I have is to make this like fur collar around her neck like black, because I think like black, white, red eyes really would bring it into the face. Yeah, the Judgement model faces Missing Tasks has been just absolutely fantastic, and I think for me too, they've provided a way to like really level up, not only, you know, on them because they've got so many great details, but also when I then go back to smaller models, like some of the lessons I've learned by painting the Judgement models, I'm like, oh, I should do this. They're really fantastic. Kind of regardless of, you know, like where you are painting level wise. Because you can just see, you know, really push yourself just across the board. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do in the last few minutes here is I was going to put some of the flesh on some of the darker fleshy color gray in the inside of the ears. We'll bring that out, and then we'll put maybe a base coat of bone on the horns and base coat the black fur ruff. Put a little bit of a lighter flesh tone color here.
That's kind of what I did.
And we're gonna end up darkening down the tips of these horns, just so they're not quite so. These are looking a little more creamy than. Not sure I like that as much. This is just kind of that bone color. But I kind of think it's a little too bright at the moment. So I'm going to take instead, I'm going to mix some Crick's Vein highlight in with it. Just so it's not like so overwhelmingly yellow compared to everything else around it.
Oh, that's a scary.
That's kind of like not the look we're going for. Going for much more, you know, cool, desaturated, apart from, you know, the red glow, and then later when we get to some of like the skin, Jarrett called it the skin jacket, which is so gross, but yeah. I get the feeling that were any of us to happen upon this scary old crone cow, we'd probably want to run in the other direction.
Let's go get this portal over here, and then
Let's try this. Still bone, but with a little bit of that. Yeah, I like that better.
And I'll put this book. I'm sure we need that for something. Alright,
It's just less yellow,
we can go back to town first.
but still an acceptable bone,
It would start us back here anyways, but
believable.
alright. Oh, well, we're gonna discard, so if I exit and screw something up, we'll be fine. Alright, so exit. Did that kick you out of the game too then? Oh. Got it. Oh, interesting. They must name combinations of things. So my assassin, or what is she? My Nightblade Arcanist is a spellbreaker, but my Shaman Arcanist is a druid. That makes sense. It did? Oh. It's your desktop sort of problem, probably. Okay. Okay. Well, it's a good time for that anyway. Alright,
Just
well,
trying to get in here
monsters
without bumping
We'll see if we can get Christian to come and
the
kill
ear.
random monsters with us. I believe in his abilities. I'll jump off here. You have a good night.
And then I think with that we are just about done for the evening. Is sort of got a much better feeling of where I'm going now. I think for me, getting the skin tones and the face in are like almost vital to determining everything else that I do with the model. So, I mean, there's still plenty to go. Lots of clothes. You know, creepy leather stuff. You know, some glowing sigils. But yeah, I think it's the face here is, the face is key. The face is key to everything else. Thanks Missing Tasks, thanks Judgement. Couldn't do it without your awesome models. And we will continue maybe Thursday, if I don't get super carried away, and then, you know, if I can put her aside for tomorrow and, you know, not work on the commissions that I have. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot here still. So yeah, I will be back Thursday afternoon. I think I've sort of reignited the streaming steam that I was sort of been missing. So I will be back from 1 to 4 U.S. Central Time, and hopefully it's on Thursday. Yeah. You know, if days have any meaning anymore whatsoever. But thanks for tuning in, everyone, and I will catch you all that time. I hope you have a good rest of your evening.